What is going on, you guys? This is Brandon.
This is Bryce.
Welcome back to Weekly Wrap Up. This is the show where we take the books that we read last week, that came out last week. So we got a few days to read them, recap, review them, and we let you guys know our thoughts, break them down for you, see what you missed, see what you remembered, and kind of give our takes on some of these books. It's a light week, so coming from Baltimore Comic-Con this past week, I feel very relieved that it wasn't as big as next week, and we're going to get into that.
Next week's huge.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, next week is going to be like a 30-book week for me, and that's just going to be a little exhausting on my wallet, which took a little bit of a hit from this week.
There's a lot of expensive books out next week too. Like the Batman Long Halloween special and Inferno are both out next week.
Yeah, the Long Halloween special I just don't care for. There are a lot of books out next week that I'm gonna sleep on. I don't think I'm gonna pick any. I don't think this is the week to take any chance on any books, especially for those for people who are like going to their shop week by week, pulling books that way. I don't think that this is the week for you to experiment with new books, or even like you're gonna miss out maybe even on some books that you would regularly pull on a normal week. I don't know if this is something with the distribution errors that's been going on, but Chet, what does expensive mean? What's going on, Chet? Good to see you in here. So what we're going to do today, we're going to review some of the books we read. Like I said, light week. And we're also going to talk about, kind of recap Baltimore Comic-Con.
You're going to recap Baltimore.
I'm going to recap Baltimore. I wasn't there. Because I went. And Bryce, you'll listen.
I will listen, and I will try to provide some entertaining commentary.
Yes, as always. What's going on, Travis? Yeah. Station, my friend. Good to see you in here. We got Something Wong, who I had the pleasure of meeting over the weekend. Elbow cough. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you in here. And Wong was on a stream. He's been on a bunch of streams lately. So good to see Wong getting out and about. What's going on, Jeremy, Caroline? Happy birthday, Caroline, even though I know this is Jeremy doing the account.
What's up, Jeremy? And yeah, happy birthday, Caroline, for sure.
Travis, Red Batman Hush today. By the way, if you guys have a question or comment about any of the books we're going to be talking about or anything in general, let us know. You'll be forever indicted on the show. And he's going to be reading Batman Hush, which is a good book. It's not for me. Yeah, we got Something Wong in here. Been rereading Saga. That's a perfect time to reread Saga. Saga's a classic. I love it. It's one of my favorite books.
Speaking of expensive, Saga isn't going to be.
No, it's still going to be $2.99. So just like Spawn, Image is going to keep that, and Spawn being $2.99, very affordable. But they're not reprinting. So make sure you guys pre-order it or put it on your pull list, put on your sub list. That way you will get it, right? Eventually, hopefully.
I'm sure with issue 55, most shops aren't gonna have a problem with like sales, at least for the first issue back with Saga.
Yeah, but there are no second printings, so
there are no second printings.
You gotta get it. Yeah. Or any Image ones. That means that trade waiting, especially for me, is gonna be at an all-time high, just because I won't be able to go back and get those second and third printings of some of these books. What's going on, Steven? Good to see you in here.
Only reason I read Stray Dogs when it was coming out was because I got a second printing of issue number 1.
Right. And Steven read Batman, Batcat, which I didn't read, and Nubia. So I've read 2 of those books.
I've read one of those books.
Listed. But Batcat's definitely one on the trade list. Then Jeremy read a Marvel and a DC book. I'm really proud of you, Jeremy. We got
nice.
Phil Comic Talk Weekly in here saying I sense a disturbance. Phil, I also have the pleasure of meeting Phil and Jeremy and Caroline this past weekend. We got JT in here, Station. We got Perry in here, always lurking. Pickle Perry. What's going on, Pickle Perry?
What's up, Perry?
And we got Trav in here. What's going on? And we got Big Lion Cat in here. And
that wasn't Trav. That was Link. What are you talking about? Put some respect on his name.
Big Lion Cat.
What's up, What's up, Lion Cat?
I had the pleasure of meeting him as well. Brandon had a chauffeur around. Yeah, Chet drove the Millennium Falcon, which is my car. Did a great job. Not a scratch. Which
Digger Jim, what's going on, man?
What's up, Jim? Had the pleasure of re-meeting Jim. We live in the same state, so I get to hang out with Jim from time to time, which is great. Getting to meet everybody in the community, getting to go hunting with people, and it was kind of a very surreal experience. As I was like kind of talking about on Instagram the other day. We all went through the pandemic together. We got to know people, got to know each other over the internet. So it's just been great to finally meet in person. We're always told, hey, don't go online, don't talk to people on the internet. And we found like probably like 100 friends.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
We had a group of 25 people at dinner, or that we could have had at dinner, and it was a great experience. 25 people from all over the world just meeting. And what's going on, Vindicated? Good to see you in here.
And even though I missed the con, I know me, you, and maybe Chad are going to try to meet up here in a few weeks.
Yeah, which is going to be great.
It'll be our first time meeting in person.
Right. When we meet in person, that's gonna be great. So we're gonna get into let's actually talk about Baltimore a little bit. So Baltimore, we're kind of still in the pandemic, not really, but Baltimore had a lot of and even if you're thinking about going to a con, this might be pretty helpful information for you. Baltimore was pretty good at COVID precautions. They took your temperature, make sure you had a wristband, you showed your vaccine cards. They're very heavy on making sure that everyone who was in there was protected. People in the convention were wearing their masks. Some creators didn't choose to, but most people were really good about wearing their masks. And they were definitely great at kind of keeping space in between their walkways. So not everything's like all jam-packed. You had a lot of areas to walk around, take a break. So that way you didn't feel claustrophobic or overcrowded. Especially on that Saturday when there was like a huge line to get in. Like the con closed at 7 on Saturday. At 5 o'clock, there's still a line all the way down the street to get in to the convention. So they did a really good job, kind of respecting the people, respecting COVID, and even if you're like really, I don't want to say like super like serious, super like precautious about COVID, which is completely understandable. They still respected that, and also people who are a little looser with how they treat COVID, they still showed that respect, and they had a great little. The Saturday line was ridiculous. Did I get commissioned? So we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna show a little bit of what I got. I'm not gonna do the whole thing because I'm gonna save that for Team Nerd Herd in a little bit. What's going on, Bobby? Station to you, sir.
Also, Chet, you can't silence me.
Yeah, no, never. Bryce is the.
I saw your other comment up there. Yeah. You cannot silence me ever.
What's going on, Eric? So, glad they got in earlier. Yeah, so I actually waited in line with Justin and Chet that day, and Peter, Cape Con Comics. So we all met, and did that, which was great. Baltimore had a bunch of. So every year, you guys know Baltimore, and Baltimore's a great home con for me because it's really about the comic books. There are not really any media presence, meaning you don't really have to worry about having celebrities like actors and people from the pop culture, more of the pop culture world that we're seeing today at the cons. They like to keep it very traditional and very comic heavy. They bring in a lot of newer creators, a lot of older creators. So you had like Jim Shooter, Peter Tomasi, Tom King, Bob McLeod all in the same room. So basically people that you've seen on the channel or will be seeing on the channel very soon, which is going to be fantastic. And I can't wait to get that out. But Baltimore's been very heavy on that. And they always pump out their guest list or their heavy hitters the year before. And they've been hyping it up. But they had a lot of cancellations. Mark Waid, Brian Michael Bendis, Howard Mackey,
Walter and Louise Simonson.
Walter and Louis, which you could understand why they would cancel. But they still had a killer guest list of a bunch of amazing creators. Their artist alley was stacked, right? So there's a lot of talent there, and the local vendors were great and very understanding of people's financial situations in the pandemic, pricing their books, and also just making everything work, being very friendly. So I don't think I had a very negative experience with anyone at the con this year. What is going on, Caroline? Happy birthday.
What's going on? Yeah, happy birthday.
Make sure you guys wish her a happy birthday. It was great meeting her and spending the day with her, the weekend with her. It's her first con, so glad that she had a great experience.
No way, that was her first con?
It's her first con. So
congrats, Caroline.
I did a lot of art shopping. I got some full sets, which I will dive into sometime on Instagram later. I'll probably post it, or I'll show it off on Team Nerd Herd next week when we all go on. But I just want to show off a few things. I got a lot of signatures this weekend, which was great. Meeting Chris Bachalo, that was his third convention he's ever done. So you're rarely going to get to meet Chris Bachalo. So I made it a notion to meet him. I met Joe Quesada. I got the VIP.
See, if I would have known that, I would have made the trip regardless of school. Well, I didn't know you wasn't there that often. His Doctor Strange run is one of my favorite things I've ever read.
Oh my gosh, I think I talked his ear off.
Brandon had to
get an ID. Nah, see, you guys are too much. But anyway,
no, see, the crazy thing is, Lion Cat. The crazy thing is, I shaved, so I look younger than he does now.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I'm on top of the world, I guess. But
I guess so.
I got this print came in my Joe Quesada VIP pass, Spider-Man. So I was very fortunate to have picked this up, but I wanted 3 signatures from Quesada anyway, and he was charging 50. So I was like, you know what? Let me just get the VIP pass. It comes with a print. I get a little one-on-one time with him, so I get to chat with him and give him my appreciation and thanks, and I get this pretty cool print. So for me, it was worth it. For a lot of people, it wasn't because of the cost, but if you are bringing a bunch of books for it, it really just makes sense to get the VIP package. If it's a creator that like Joe Quesada or Brian K. Vaughan, someone else who had the fan packages, or even Frank Miller, who have those costs. So I was pretty fortunate to get that. Bob McLeod, who you guys know from the show, I got this New Mutants print from him. So as you guys know, I love the New Mutants, and it's just a classic print. He actually did this in 2014, but it looks like he just drew it out of the Bronze Age, which again I really appreciated. I got this print from John Beatty.
That is gorgeous.
So it's Captain America Annual 8 with Wolverine and Cap. This is a nice little black and white. So Beatty is also been on the show, as you guys know. And then I got 2 more prints that I want to show off, and then a little sketch cover or a blank cover that I've been working on over the few years. And then I got this from Bob McLeod as well, from Craven's Last Hunt, which is my favorite Spider-Man story of all time.
Still gotta read that. I'm slacking Spidey.
Read it, because the writer Jim DeMatteis will be here sooner than later, and so will this guy. We got Tacky in here. What's going on, Tacky?
What's up, Tacky? Also, Lion Cat. I can promise you, I'm 21.
Yeah,
promise you that. He said, "Let's see your ID."
I got this print of John and Jay from John Timms. This is all going to donations, so I made a notion to pick this up, and John Timms is actually doing a commission piece for me. That of Damian and John, so I was very fortunate to get this print. It's gorgeous.
Sons, love it.
And I actually saw the original art for what this is going to look like. You know,
is that going to be a panel or is that going to be a cover?
It's going to be a panel,
or like a splash page. Probably
it's going to be a splash page. We got Nicholas in here. What is going on? Oh, it's Take. Okay, gotcha.
I call him Tacky. Yeah, Take.
Take. So I'm gonna take this out of the.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take this out of the bag and board. Nobody come at me. But,
Taki. Yeah, it is Taki.
I gotta show this off. I gotta show this off a little bit. So with Detective Comics 1000, when it came out at Awesome Con a few years ago, they had a great Batman cast of artists. So I got a blank cover and wanted each of them to draw a different Batman character on the blank. So I decided, hey, let me work on this a little bit more, and. Stuff rented. So let me enlarge myself a little bit. So I got a few editions. So at Awesome Con, and this is who I got first. I got Tim Sale right over here, who did Robin. So Dick Grayson as Robin. I got Amanda Connor over here, which she doesn't really do sketches anymore. She did Catwoman. Jimmy Palmiotti right over here. I'm doing this like in reverse, kind of. It's like my fingers like going the opposite way of everything. And then I got Klaus Janson here, did Batman, and Lee Weeks did the Alfred. This was all from Awesome Con a few years ago. And then Mitch Jarrett did the Joker right over here, and Becky Cloonan did Two-Face here. Those are the additions on the front. So the front's complete. I'm not going to be touching the front unless I can fit like a little kind of bat signal right here. I think that's the only addition I would really do. And then over on the back here, shush. No.
I wasn't going to say anything.
No. But I got John Beatty did Penguin over here. Completely surprised me with that. And then I got Cliff Chang did Poison Ivy right here. So that was a mission. That was a mission. What about Clayface?
You need a Scarecrow.
I need a Scarecrow.
A Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
And a Jim Gordon at least.
But you know, this and all the creators that I brought this to, even if they didn't draw on it, I brought this to Chris Picciello. He was like, "Yo, this is insane," but he wasn't drawing. I take care of Lion Cat. Thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate you for popping in for a few minutes.
Yeah, seriously.
I do got to get Freeze. I got to get Solomon Grundy. I want to get Jim Gordon on here and Batgirl, Red Hood, Tim Drake. I want to get all the Robins.
Oh yeah, get a little Nightwing on there. Even though you already have Robin, get a little Nightwing on there.
Yep.
If international travel ever gets opened back up and you ever see Gillen March at a con, that would be a cool one to do. Jim Gordon.
Yeah, because that's what he's drawing in a Jim Gordon book.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the Joker book.
So the Joker book. So I was really excited to get that to get that work done. Just the experience of that was great. Getting to know everybody in the community, just meeting up. It was a very surreal experience. Probably the best weekend I've had in a while. Just recapping Baltimore. It was fantastic getting to meet Sal and Tiffany from Comic Pop. Got to chat with them. It was funny because 2 years ago when we were waiting for Brian K. Vaughan, we waited together. That's one of Tiffany's favorite creators, one of mine. If you know them, you would understand what I'm talking about. It's Brian K. Vaughan's one of my personal favorites. So kind of being in that line with them was a great experience. And Tiffany and I also share a love for Chris Pachalo. That was the line we were in this time. And it's been all like kind of accidental. We just like met. I got in line. I was like, we're in the, and they looked at me like, we're doing this again, right? And I'm like, yeah, it looks that way. So it was great chatting with them. And yeah, Jim Shooter was there. Bob McLeod getting a sketch in there. So I will email Bob McLeod and see what's going on with that. And I was gonna talk to John Timms because he has we got stuff going on. But back to going on to the books. I talked enough. So Bryce, what did you? We got to get to the other segment of the show.
All right, so let's just start on a somewhat high note for DC. Nightwing 85.
Yes.
So this is still continuing Fear State, the Nightwing tie-ins. It's a 3-issue arc. And we're basically continuing the saga of Nightwing and Barbara Gordon Batgirl, who's back as of right now.
Yeah.
Which was a huge thing at the end of last issue. And so basically we see them trying to take down this fake oracle known as the Seer. And there's some bonding moments in there between Barbara and Dick. We have a flashback to them when they were they looked like they were older than kids, but probably early teens.
Kind of like earlier in their experiences as their alter egos.
Exactly. I'd probably say they were like 13 and 14 maybe. If they're both the same age. But yeah, we just see how long those two have been working together, how long their history goes back, and that's pretty much, which I love, even in Fear State, in this event, Tom Taylor is still focusing on the main point of this run, which is developing and growing Dick Grayson's relationships.
Right.
Particularly Barbara Gordon.
Right. So
I think this issue does a really good job at that. We see this kind of like fear gas get sprayed on them. We see just how much, and we find out just how much they care about each other and what their biggest fears are, which is losing each other. Right.
So do you think that Tom Taylor is making Barbara a little bit more risky than she usually is prior to his treatment on her?
I don't know. I feel like this is very much in Barbara's character to be maybe as risky as she's being, but at the same time, I don't know. I would say yes and no for that. Like there are moments where it does feel like that, but then there are moments where it's like this is how I've always imagined her.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Like even if you're not reading Fear State, you can read this book, or if you're doing vice versa, you don't necessarily need to read this arc. Basically, it's making Batgirl or Barbara Batgirl again, and her nanochip is very affected in this. So if she takes like one hit, she can go back to being paralyzed from her injury in the Killing Joke. And we see kind of a lot of the ramifications of what could happen, and Dick just wants to protect her. So that's kind of where I'm thinking is like she's taking that risk because she understands why she was Oracle, and she's kind of ignoring that, saying, okay, now I have to get back into the field a little bit more.
Yeah.
and kind of pave the way to destroy Oracle so we can eventually kind of rebuild it, and I have a theory for that going forward. But that was ultimately what I thought. Art was by Robbie Rodriguez, so we're taking a break from the Bruno Redondo's status quo, giving him time to do some other stuff.
Thankfully, it is coming back, though, with a killer Nightwing issue 87 and 88.
Yes.
You can already tell it's going to be killer.
Right. So I kind of found this a little weird that Dick Grayson is all he wanted to do in Bloodhaven was kind of build his resume, build himself up, and he did. And now he's like back in Gotham because of a fake signal, and they address it. And it's great to see their relationship being pushed forward for classic fans. And for those classic fans, like, yes, this relationship is still thought upon, and it's still a priority for the creatives in the Batman booth. But also for newer readers, it's great to see that developing like a fresh start as well. So I think that's great for their treatment. And I'm excited to see what's going on. Let's stay in Gotham for a little bit. We got Fit to Be Read in here. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, and one thing I'll add real quick, just before we move on, you talk about it being good for new. Like, this is my first experience reading solo Nightwing. Everything else I've read has been with the Titans, and so that he's either been with Starfire or nobody.
Right.
And so, yeah, this definitely has helped me see just kind of how important their relationship is.
Right. Did I meet Trish Forstner? I did, and I picked up Volume 1 of Stray Dogs, so now everyone can tell me to read it because I'll get to it in a few months somewhere. I'll get to Stray Dogs in a few months.
You'll get to it in a few days.
I'll get it. I'll get to it. I'll probably get it done in probably an hour of free time. But let's talk about Catwoman, Lonely City. This is by Cliff Chiang. Wrote, drew, inked, colored, lettered, the whole damn thing. So if an artist could do it all, how would they do it? This story takes place 10 years after a very traumatic event that killed basically Gotham's top tiers. Batman, Nightwing, Red Hood, they all died. And Catwoman got sent to jail, and this is her post that and kind of seeing the world that she's living in as an older person, a more experienced Catwoman. She can't really do the things she can. So we see the ramifications of her being in jail and how her body is kind of catching up to her over the years. So she is like she's like arthritis. She has a bunch of injuries that keep her from doing what she normally does. She gets hired for a task from Mayor Two-Face. So yes, and even Caroline really enjoyed it. And I asked her 5 times if she read it, and she was like, "I did. You just don't listen to me." I think you're right. But speaking to Cliff about this book, it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of classic Batman stories kind of shown in the inspiration of this. Like, you open up the book and you kind of already see some Tim Sale vibes, or at least that's what I gathered. You see like sort of that feeling in there. You see a little bit of Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises, some Frank Miller-esque inspirations that Cliff even spoke about on this book. So I recommend picking this up, even if you are reading the the ongoing in canon, in continuity by Rom V, which is taking an end. This book is perfect. It's 4 issues, oversized, looks great. If you're waiting for the trade, I understand. But I took a dive on this, and I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of Cliff Chiang. I know him from Paper Girls, right? I know him from Paper Girls, Green Arrow. So
which you got to finish Paper Girls.
I do have to finish Paper Girls. Paper Girls. Yeah, and Jeremy read it today because I've been bugging him about it, and he really enjoyed it. So if you guys aren't reading it, I'm going to bug you to read it because I think this was really good, and I'm not the biggest Catwoman fan. I'm not the first person to say, go buy a Catwoman book, because I guarantee you, even if you're a diehard Batman fan, that's the last thing on your agenda is to read a Catwoman book. But this was great. Gave the character a lot of respect. We got to see a lot of classic villains interacting with Catwoman and kind of showing, like, okay, when she's not with Batman, who can she interact with? And this really showed. Shaw interacting with older Penguin, kind of like a great-grandfather Penguin, Killer Croc, Mayor Two-Face, Harvey Dent. So I highly recommend it. Everything's great. And Cliff Chiang is putting a lot of time and care into this book, and Brian K. Vaughan was really impressed by it, which is that's what. So at the Paper Girls panel, all Brian K. Vaughan really wanted to do is just talk about Catwoman.
How many issues is this going to be? 3?
It's gonna be 4. It's gonna be 4.
It's going to be 4? Yeah, that'll definitely be a trade. Or actually, since it's going to be a hardcover, that'll be a hardcover. That'll be a hardcover buy for me eventually.
Right. So I liked it. I really did. I dug this book, and I think it was a contender for my pick of the week with another book that we're going to get into down the line. But it is a lonely city for Catwoman because all of her all of her like coworkers, all of her associates are not there anymore due to that tragic event. So we're gonna explore that a little bit more in the future. And yeah, he praised it. Yeah, BKV praised it. So I would definitely go check it out.
He's arguably the best writer of the 21st century. So I mean, get that praise from him.
Right. I would say he's probably like top 5, probably top 5. But that's Catwoman. Did you want to stick in Gotham and talk about Batman?
You read my mind.
Exactly.
So yeah, Batman number 115 by James Tynion the fourth, Jorge Jimenez for like 3 pages, and Bengal for the rest of it. There's also a Batgirls backup story by Becky Clooney and Michael Conrad, good friends of the show. Jorge Corona and the colorist too. I wanted to. Stern is the last name of the colorist, which that was phenomenal.
Right.
Sarah Stern. But yes, talking about the main Batman issue. In last issue, we see who is it? Simon Saint's right-hand man basically
just goes off the wall.
The 2 Peacekeepers are fighting to the death, essentially, and Peacekeeper X lost. And so we kind of see Simon Saint go off the rails from that. And pretty much everything with him has been is him just going insane.
Right.
He finds out about he finds out about Ivy's secret underground base, and he's decided he is going to make Gotham implode on itself because it is beyond saving.
And that contradicts heavily with what Scarecrow wants to do.
Even is.
Right. So, in my opinion, this book was a little weird, right?
It was very weird.
Art
especially.
The shift between Jimenez's and Bengal's art was a little jarring, especially because it was like you get Jimenez for like the 3 middle pages, and it's like everything else just Bengal, who's a very cartoony style.
You get him for the Scarecrow.
Yes, stuff. Because Bengal probably has a hard time drawing that suit, or I think I don't know. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I also thought Bengal's Ivy was a little bit weird. You know,
Ivy was a little weird. To me, his Batman was a little weird at times. Okay, if he were the mainstay artist on the book, it would have been fine, in my opinion. But where he's a guest artist and there's just that big of a shift, like you were saying, it was really weird.
Right. I don't know. This run or this event has kind of been up and down. Right. It's like I want to care, but I'm not getting anything to care about because Simon Saint, I think, is like the biggest pushover you could have ever created. He's a public figure he's a puppet head. So he really has no power at all. So for him to like try to pull these things, it's just going to implode in his face. He's trying to go up against Scarecrow. He's going up against Batman, and then he's going to go up against Mayor Nakano. And
I take that as a huge compliment.
Oh my
god,
God.
That is incredible.
See you, Chet. Take
later,
care.
Chet.
I know Chet doesn't like spoilers. And
what's going on, Jay?
What's going on, Jay? How you doing? So I don't know. I've been up and down. The last issue really impressed me. This issue not so much. I'm looking more forward to Miracle Molly because I like her character, and I don't think they're really using Ivy the way I want them to. I don't think. It's weird. Tynion is a great writer, and the setup is fine. Everything else is not. The art's spectacular, but this book just isn't hitting. It's just not hitting for me. What's up?
The
John?
art is spectacular.
The art is spectacular, right? Yes, it is.
Oh man, it's an inside joke. Had to bring it back, but there was also a Batgirls backup story in here, which to me was the superior story in this issue, especially with Jorge Corona. Jorge Corona was the perfect choice for art in this type of story, if you ask me. Granted, I love Jorge Corona. I've loved him since Middle West. And yeah, this is a really fun backup story dealing with the fake Oracle. We're going to get 2 more backup stories in Batman issues, and then it's going to become its own book with the same creative team. So I'm really looking forward to Gotham in December.
Right.
Because you got Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo coming back to do their main thing on Nightwing. Batgirls is kicking off. And Joshua Williamson is taking over on Batman and is taking him global.
Right. So this book has a lot going on, or will have a lot going on. This book, I would say, if you're not reading it, give it a break. No. You want to give it your Batman. You want to recycle your Batman stuff. I get it. Also, kind of what I talked about on live yesterday, we have a lot of Batman books, so you can kind of pick and choose which one is for you. You don't necessarily need to read all of them, except I say that and I do anyway.
I would say, okay. I would say you do need to read the main Batman title to understand what's going on in Gotham. In like, I've not been reading Catwoman, but I would assume Catwoman sort of connects with this book at times.
Right.
And then Nightwing obviously does. It's minimal in Tom Taylor's story, but it still does.
Right.
And so, yeah, even with its ups and downs, this book has proven essential. And this run overall has been solid.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about something that overall is solid or was solid, but missed the point. And I'm going to compare this book to the Joker book. And that is Trial of Magneto #3. We got Nick Comic Culture in here. What's going on? And we got Tomorrow Cinema in here. What is going on?
Station Tomorrow.
Hope you're doing well, Manny. My prayers to you. Hope for a speedy recovery. And so we left. So this is by Leah Williams and Lucas Wernick. The reason why I'm comparing to Joker is because it has great art, great storytelling. It's just not what the book is supposed to be about, which fine, I get it. You had to pull a title to draw newer readers, new people to come to the book, and you change your direction. Joker's really a Jim Gordon story. This is really a Scarlet Witch X Factor story. So this has nothing really to do with Magneto other than their family. That's really it. I know not everyone is a fan of this book. I wasn't a fan of this issue. I wasn't a fan of the previous issue. I enjoyed it, but I asked myself at the end, I'm like, this isn't about Trial of Magneto. He's not even on trial.
Yeah.
He's not even on trial right now. He's still a suspect, but
I'll tell you what, Nick. Go back and rewatch this show from when issue 2 came out, and you'll see how much of a fan I am of Trial of Magneto.
No, Bryce railed that book like crazy. But Leah's going to be on the show November 4th, so next week-ish.
Hey, yeah, seriously.
Leah will be on the show. We got Brother Joe in here. What is going on?
What's up, Brother Joe?
So, we left off last issue with Scarlet Witch coming back and reconnecting with Vision in front of everybody. And we notice now that she doesn't really have a lot of her memories. This is where Scarlet Witch is, and this is where we're all going forward with her character. This is how we're going to fix her character and put her back in here. That's all this book is. You're not getting no Trial of Magneto. You're not getting nothing else, this is not even an event book. So for people who are calling this book an event, shame on, this is not really, is treated in promotion like an event, but the ultimate event is Inferno. Inferno is the event. This is kind of a sub-story in the X-Men world and how we're going to use one of our most powerful mutants and how we're going to not really bring her back, but kind of reconnect with a character that really hasn't gotten treatment since No More Mutants. So Scarlet Witch doesn't even remember her own kids. She doesn't remember anything that happened. All she really remembers is kind of, I don't want to say silver. It was before Agatha got to her like that. So
fair enough, yeah.
Magneto struck a plea deal.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty funny.
But North Star kind of decided to beat the crap out of Magneto because he held his husband up in the air, and then we got this fun little moment between North Star and Captain America because he's like, North Star's like, oh, so you're invited to dinner, and Captain's like, how can your husband be thinking about dinner when it's something like this? North Star's like, he's human, and kind of just like threw shade at the human race. So I thought was a great moment. But this book is very, like I said, this book is where one is. So her body right now is almost like a projection. It's not really a projection, but it's like not an illusion. But this is her body, and her real self, her current self, is in another dimension, kind of fighting her way back into the current one, which is creating changes in this lapse in her body on Earth. So there's a lot of magic at play. Bryce, I know what you're looking like.
What? Is she dead or is she not?
She's dead she's alive in another dimension, and she's fighting her way back with an older version of herself. What the hell is Brandon talking about? Trial of Magneto, but
the trial of my patience is what the name of the book should be.
Damn. But
I'm sorry, man. I hope Leah Williams doesn't go back and watch these episodes.
But it's weird. Leah's a very good writer. Leah is a fantastic writer. And if this wasn't called Trial of Magneto and this just called Scarlet Witch, I would enjoy this book a lot better.
The title of this book is very misleading. But personally, Magneto is my favorite mutant, and so I was really excited to get a Magneto-centric book.
Right. So every time, so the whole point of this book is every time she dies, she's almost reborn in another dimension because she has alternate reality powers. So she's able to revive herself in a different dimension. It's just she hasn't learned how to come back from it. That's really what I'm getting at. So this book is her learning how to get back to her self that's actually, I don't want to say posing, but kind of posing as herself. So we're also trying to figure out who killed her, which is an underlying topic, which should be at the forefront. But that's Trial of Magneto. I know a lot of people aren't reading it. It kind of, I don't like how this book is also coming out at the same time Inferno is, because there's a huge dynamic shift in what's going on between those two books. So, I'm not sure what's going on, and it almost sounded like you were explaining a different book. Thank you for breaking it down. But no, that's this book, and the reason why it's confusing for a lot of people is because you're expecting to have a Magneto Scarlet Witch centric story. You're figuring out what happened through you want to figure out what happened, and you want to have that Magneto character study, and see what he's up to, see if he's still being of the classic villain he is. But you're not getting that. You're getting how can Magneto's daughter bring herself back through magic and kind of learn this side of her magical powers that hasn't, and that's what Lee's aiming for. She's doing a good job at doing it. It's just the whole Trial of Magneto thing is throwing a lot of people off, and I get it. I understand. Also, this coming out amongst a bunch of other X-Men books.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Inferno,
I understand how jarring it can be, so that's why I'm trying to give you the best post-reading experience, or hopefully answering your questions.
See, to me, this book is very, I don't know, especially after reading some stuff in the Hellfire Gala and seeing that moment. You guys know which moment I'm talking about if you read any X-Men during the Hellfire Gala. Right, that moment between Magneto and Scarlet Witch where they reconciled was a huge moment that was going to lead into what was going on with this book. And for it not to be a Magneto and Scarlet Witch centric book, or even if it's on the back burner right now, it shouldn't be on the back burner. And so I felt like we were kind of misled for a while. Personally, that's just my opinion, though. Right.
And Leah's a great writer. I like a lot of her work. I love her work with Amazing Mary Jane. I thought that was a great story. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And this is a newer shift in her writing experience because she's kind of dabbling into magic, and she's also trying to juggle that with also expanding the characters that she's been working on in X Factor. So if you look at it, I actually really like what she's doing. I just think the title and the editorial side of this book is horrible. I don't think you should have you obviously called it Trial of Magneto to get sales.
Yeah.
Great. It's a business, and they're going to handle their titles to get your dollar at the entrance. Right, and kind of keeping you on that, okay, are we going to get back to that title, is what's keeping you in the door. But I really like her writing. I really do. Was this the best issue? Not at all. But I enjoyed it enough. And this is kind of the status quo of her character, which is her figuring out this newer side of her magic in this dimension post-death.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly.
Hopefully that answers all your questions. And if you're reading this in trade, it comes out in January, so you're not gonna be missing anything. It doesn't really tie in anything going on in Inferno, so you can trade wait it, or you can read it digitally or whatever. No rush, because this book's gonna end no matter what your dollar says.
I mean, it's a 5-issue miniseries. It's 3 issues in already.
Right.
Yeah,
but it sold really well in Comixology. It's a top seller in Comixology. So
yeah, and I feel like if I read it all at once, I would have a different opinion of it.
It flows really well from issue to issue, I will say that. And she does a good job at juggling the characters, and she's very knowledgeable about the characters she's treating. It's just, I think the whole point of the narrative is throwing a lot of people off.
Yeah, and I loved issue 1 too. That's it. So I'm not trying to sit here and talk crap about this book all day. I loved the start of it. I was excited.
It's just not what you were looking for. It's just not for you. Okay.
It went down a direction that I did not want to go down.
Right.
Which happens with everybody. Leah Williams is a pretty good writer. I wouldn't say she's one of my favorites, but she's one that if she's writing a book for a character that I'm interested in, I'll for sure check it out.
Right. And X Factor wasn't really a big seller, but they needed to get their point across. So these are the Resurrection Committee and figuring out what happened there. So I understand why they switched the title. I wouldn't switch it to Trial of Magneto.
It wasn't originally supposed to be issues 11 through 15 of X Factor?
I don't know. I'm not the one to ask, but we'll find out soon because, like I said, Leah will be here. So we're gonna be talking about this book. We're gonna be talking about Amazing Mary Jane. We're gonna be talking about her world. We're also gonna be talking about Polaris, which that was a given. You guys already know that. I think 30 minutes of our 30 minutes of our conversation will probably be all about me fighting for my wedding ring with Polaris and her just to be in the wedding. I guess that's how we would put it. But it could be a seller's a bit with a different mission statement. That's an interesting point as well. And again, I like Leah Williams as a writer, so I still support her anyway. I'm an X-Men head, so I'm going to be reading this religiously, no matter what they do.
I mean, that's the big thing with a lot of these X books is editorial got in the way.
Right.
Even with something like X-Force was one of my favorite titles for a while. I ended up dropping it because it just kept going down the same beats, and it kind of had a one-track mission statement from the start. And so I feel like if they would have explored that title a little bit more, along with a lot of other X titles, we wouldn't see the decline in a lot of sales like we're seeing currently, compared to when they started.
Right. Let's move on to another book. We got a few more books left. I think we have I'm looking at 3 that we have left to cover.
I have 3 myself.
Go for it.
All right. Throg, issue 18.
I thought you were going to go for Flash.
Oh, no. I'm saving Flash for last. I'm just saying Flash was my pick of the week just because I had the most fun with it. So I'm saving that for last. Although this was honestly a close second. I had a blast with this book.
This was a funny issue. This was
fantastic for reasons okay, if you just showed someone issues 1 through 6 of this run and then gave them this, they would be so confused because the tonal shift would just be so quick. But this issue, if you read it on its own or even in the context of the entire run, it's fantastic.
Right.
So we start out, Thor you can see him kind of pleading for someone's help. Turns out to be Loki. I like how they really have kept their brotherly bond despite them both being kings of different realms. And that's really evident in this book. Because you kind of see that dynamic between brothers when one of them wants to do something stupid and ends up talking the other one into it. I mean, I don't have a brother. You do. Is that a fair assessment?
I have a very stubborn brother who doesn't really go out of his shell. So I would say it's more like when the dentist wants to open my mouth to pull or to work on my teeth, and I'm just not in the mood for it.
Okay, yeah. Oh, man, that's fair too. Yeah, that's the beginning of this book. We flash to a kingdom known as Foreverglade, which I guess is where Throg's from. This is really my first major experience or exposure to Throg.
Throg's a fun guy.
So I'm learning all this. His name's Simon Walterson, so that alone. But we see Thor appear to get Throg's assistance.
I get it. Simon Walterson.
Yep. We see Thor appear to get Throg's assistance because in the last issue, we find out the Mjolnir was stolen. And so basically they need a spy team, an operative team. And where else to go? Where else would you go than small animals?
They're not so small.
And Lockjaw.
And Lockjaw.
Yeah, small animals and Lockjaw. Which, yeah, spoilers. He assembles a team. It ends up being Hugin and Munnin, the Ravens of Asgard, Lockjaw, Lockheed, and Bats the Ghost Hound. And we get the Pet Avengers. And
Pet Avengers.
The Pet
Assemble!
Avengers.
Hoorah! A lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about this book, but I can't stop smiling at it.
It's just fun. I think you have to experience it to understand how fun this is and kind of like where they're going with this direction of Thor lost his hammer, who did it, and he goes to Throg. Because why not? Throg and Donald Blake arc
in general was phenomenal.
And then what's going on, Raging Cajun? What's going on, buddy?
Then, one thing I'll say, Nick Klein is coming back for issue 19.
It'll pick up.
And any issue that Nick Klein is on for an arc, it's going to be another huge arc. Because if you remember, I don't think Nick Klein did issue 8 either.
No.
Maybe. But we had a guest artist after that whole Devour Arcane arc. And then he came back for Prey.
Bandini.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Danielle.
I don't think he did issue 7 either.
No, he didn't.
He didn't do issue 7. So yeah,
that's it was Aaron Cooter. It was Aaron Cooter who did it.
It's Aaron Cooter, yeah. So that seems to be the theme with this book. Nick Klein will come in and do a huge arc and then take a break. But then as soon as he comes back, you know it's going to get back to what it started out as.
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did. I want to talk about Superman, Son of Kal-El. This is by Tom Taylor. John Timms, who I had the pleasure of meeting at Baltimore. He's doing a commission for me, which I'm super excited to see how it turns out. And so we are, John and Jay are at the dinner at the Kents, so the grandparents, and they get attacked by someone from Star Labs. And basically, Justice League cons with John, says, no, this is my problem. They do it. But yeah, this was a killer cover. I like this.
Yeah,
cover.
I didn't see it. Throw it up.
John Timms is fantastic.
I love that cover. I love that cover so much.
So we're dealing with that. We get more of the John and Jay relationship. We learn about Jay's powers, which was fun, and then we.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jay has powers.
Dang, I got to catch up on this book, guys. I'm 4 issues behind, apparently.
And we meet some of Jay's associates to talk to kind of protect what happened. Or what Jay is doing, and we're building into this plot line of where Jay is from, which is this island called Gamora, and there's this authoritarian ruler who doesn't like people leaving, and he wants to bring them back instead of them being in refuge in America. Obviously, John doesn't like that, and so that's eventually going to clash. Jay is kind of on social media speaking out about it, and obviously that authoritative ruler doesn't like that. He is the nice house Walter power apparently, so he can't really get hurt. That's really his power. It looks like he can phase through stuff. That's kind of what I gathered from the art. The art is by the but this says Timms on the cover, but this is not Timms's art.
It's Timms's cover.
It's Timms's cover. So it says Taylor, Kim's, and Gabriel Italab. I butchered that, but it's actually Tom Taylor, art by Danielle Di Niculio, which is the artist from Seven Secrets, and the colorist is Gabe Eltabe. It's the same guy I mentioned in Hyphy. So
yeah, did you say Danielle Di Niculio or whatever?
Yeah, from Seven Secrets.
from Seven Secrets. I bet that looks fantastic.
So obviously Tom Taylor has chemistry with them, and that showed in this issue. I wasn't really the biggest fan as much as Seven Secrets liked. I thought it was weird. It was obviously different panel layouts than we're used to with Tim's. Niculio has that kind of style to it, but overall it was an enjoyable
style.
It was an enjoyable issue. We got a lot of cool moments, and Tom Taylor is just great at writing dialogue and giving characters fresh perspective. So again, go pick it up. Next issue is obviously going to be a banger, heavily speculated by a lot of people. Buy it, read it, try not to flip it, because that issue, and I'm going to say this, that issue, think about someone who's not really in the Instagram or YouTube community. Think about somebody, let's say 16, 17, even maybe a kid, maybe someone older, who just goes to their shop and picks stuff off the shelf. Not really into the whole, like, I have to have it now, right?
Yeah.
If you hoard this book, you're taking away that experience from that reader. Someone who's doing it for the purpose of enjoying it. Exactly. And this next issue is going to speak to a lot of people. It is going to speak out to a lot of people. So
yeah,
please don't deprive that from a younger person picking up this issue to see themselves in it. Yes, and if you guys are going, so after the show, we're gonna head over to Popcorn Philosophers doing comics revisited. They're doing Long Halloween, so we're gonna be going over there, enjoying our time with them for a little bit after this show, which is why we're gonna try to wrap things up a little bit. Do you want to talk about Flash real quick?
Yeah, but I would say do that with any new comic book day book, though, especially like DC and Indies, because Marvel does print a lot usually, so they're more hoarder friendly.
Right.
But DC and Indies especially, if you hoard those books, you're taking those books away from people who want to read them every month. So yeah, that's just. But the Flash 775 came out. This was probably my favorite book of the week. I loved them all, but this one was the one I had the most fun with. We've got this what's known as a glaive in the ground. Nobody can move it, not even Superman. You see Wally and Mr. Terrific kind of gathering around him, trying to figure out what's going on. But everybody seems to be in a bad mood, including Superman, which was a bit suspicious. Wally's trying to figure out what's going on, and it turns out this glaive has some sort of like evil properties to it that is making the villains crave power and want to try to get it for themselves, and everyone else around him automatically just flipping gears from who they normally would be. And so that's essentially the gist of the main plot point. It ends up being a villain that I haven't seen in a while. I won't spoil it, but I thought it was pretty cool. And once that is all said and done, because this villain kind of shows up, decides Wally isn't worth his time, and then leaves.
Right.
But after that, we see Dr. Fate pull Wally in and basically say, hey, he says the fate of the universe rests in your hands, Flash. And so, yeah, this was a really fun issue. Jeremy Adams is doing the writing. Fernando Pasarin did the pencils, and Jeremy Cox on the colors. Honestly, if we could just get a mainstay artist on this book, I feel like this would be one of DC's bests.
Right.
But that's the only thing holding this book back right now is we can't get an artist to stand.
And it shows. It kind of shows because the issues kind of I don't know if they feel rushed, but they definitely have that jumbled feeling. It's like there's too much going on. It's a little chaotic, and I feel like different artists work better when you have those kind of fill in, like when it's a simpler story instead of something that's like we're trying to work on changing this character's status quo. We're trying to give them a new direction, but we don't really have the creative voice yet, which is a little frustrating. What is up, Verno, guys? Verno has great reviews. I just want to shout out people who are on top of their review game. Verno is one of them. Nick Comic Culture is one of them. You guys already know Robbie is.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just people, and then Casually Comics, all great review people. Robbie's Robbie's weekly comic book review show, all great review shows as well. If you guys want to look at further reviews, I know we are the later review because we like to do spoilers, we like to break it down, but you want more non-spoiler reviews, hit any of those guys up, go to their channels. I know Nick's in the description. I know Robbie will be added soon, and Cerebros will be added soon to the description. Or if I can get a moderated job, because Verno is newer to the YouTube game, not new to content creating, but those guys are fantastic in their review games, and they're non-spoiler. So I was looking forward to seeing their excitement and their thoughts early on in the week. So I know Verno drops on Wednesday, and I know Nick drops on Friday. So definitely check them out.
But yeah, that's the thing though with Flash. Like I feel like Jeremy Adams has the book down, with the exception of maybe a couple minor tweaks. But the art just shifts every time, and it's
a little weird,
jarring. Also, so they have half a creative voice, but they're working on that other half.
Right. Also, make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel if you want to help us out a little bit. It goes a long way. Share our content. Feel like we're doing everything. It goes a long way. This is our 25th episode of Weekly Wrap Up, so that's crazy to where we started and where we are now. I remember we could barely this chat is bouncing every week now, and we're just super thankful.
Yeah, seriously, thank all of you. Right.
So this show is all for you guys and helping you guys better understand the books, get a new perspective. Thank you. Keep your wives away from the video. I want to talk about my pick of the week, last book we're going to cover, and that is The Death of Doctor Strange, just by Jed MacKay, Lee Garbett. So Silver Age Doctor Strange interacting with the modern world. So Doctor Strange died, and as like a failsafe, there's this spell that, okay, should he die, his version from the 60s and very early 70s up until 1971 will be there. Now, we know this is like very early Silver Age, so like around Strange Tales 117, 118, kind of his first few appearances. I think going up until 128. So, Jed MacKay likes to flex his knowledge because we get classic. Have we seen this spell before? Not with this character. Not with this character, I don't think. Could we? But we get like characters like Agamon. We get people like
Bringing Umar.
Dagoth. Yeah, we got Umar. We got and we get Tiboro. So, and people I can't Umar. So these are classic Silver Age characters that you would only read if you read the Strange Tales that Steve Ditko did, Jim Steranko, Stan Lee, Gene Colan. So those are the issues that those man. I know this kind of, and if you look at his costume, I said this in the last issue, is it's all blue, which before the Cloak of Levitation was red, this is the cloak that was him. Jim MacKay flexes his knowledge by using a lot of terms from the Silver Age. We understand this even more when Doctor Strange is interacting with a bunch of characters. He sees Caecilius, he sees Mordo, and he still thinks they're all best buddies because and not really Mordo, when we're like, it was fun. And we see Captain America, and he doesn't know who any of these other people are who appeared after the Silver Age. Like, so he wasn't really around when Captain America joined the Avengers. This is like, he doesn't know because he never interacted with Captain America at the time. So it was great. It was like fun. So Jed MacKay understands, and he did his research, and that was super exciting. And this guy is all this Silver Age. The Silver Age Doctor Strange is also trying to figure out what happened. He doesn't know who the Source Supreme is. So when he asks, it's like, it's me. Wow. So the Source Supreme is dead. That unlocks a gate for a lot of other dimensional beings to come down to Earth. So the three mothers are the team that comes in, and they leave after they defeat the Avengers. They defeat this Silver Age Doctor Strange, and they leave. They're like, we're coming back. That gives Stephen Strange more time to figure out who murdered his older self. And we're just his interaction with the modern world is great. Jed MacKay has a lot of fun with this, understands his topics. The art is great. This was my pick of the week, 100%.
And Lee Garbett is phenomenal. Anything he's on, I would probably pick up.
Read his Captain Marvel, Kelly Thompson. Fantastic. But this is a really good take on magic. This is like kind of stretching it because like when writing a Doctor Strange book, a lot of people fall into the same tropes. This doesn't. This creates kind of something I don't think we've seen before. It's not in my experience that I've seen before. We got Matt Woods coming in here.
What's up, Matt?
And I really, really, really enjoyed this, guys.
I did too.
Death of Doctor Strange, my pick of the week. 100%.
This is probably one of the better Doctor Strange stories we've gotten in a while. Definitely prefer it over the Mark Waid stuff.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I love Mark Waid, but I think he was just a name on the book rather than someone who has a say on the character. I think Mark Waid. I don't think Mark Waid really had much to say, or else he would have done him prior to his exiting or his let's just say his Brett Favre days at post retirement. So that's really how I would.
Now, him giving Doctor Strange the use of his hands back was huge. And I think that definitely added something to the character where now he has to balance a day job and an arguably harder night job.
Right. So I like this book, you guys.
I love it.
I really did. Anyway, you guys, we are gonna wrap up the show. A lot of books come out next week, which is something actually before we wrap up, I do want to touch on. Again, prioritize your pull lists. Because they're weekly books, you can probably get them at any time. Can't buy it. Try not to, or it's easier said than done. But when you have a week where you have like, let's say 30 books that you would usually pull, you have to cut that back, right? It's okay. Creators understand. You don't have to read everything. You're not going to be able to understand to read everything, right?
Yeah. Even if you just pick a publisher, you're not going to be able to read everything from that.
Right. So look at your pull list. See what you can see what you really want to read. See what you can't. Right. The fear of missing out is something we see a lot, especially for more hardcore collectors. Right.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy a book, pick it up, read it. That's what it's all about here. I know that it kind of sucks that they decide to keep it, that they're doing this at like the last week of the month is like their dump and like throwing it all at you. Because there's not enough time in the week to read all 30 of those books, especially that I'm going to be pulling, right? So I might have to like cut them in half and pick up the ones next week. And we got the Fantastic Girl, who I had the pleasure of meeting at Baltimore as well.
What's up?
Gabby's awesome. And we got John Stout as well. Thank you guys for coming in. Make sure you catch the replay because I know we usually go on for about an hour and a half, but we are going to wrap it up shortly after this brief message from your sponsor.
Yeah, it's a light week.
Tell that to Verno, but it's kind of it's just like that you're putting out a lot of heavy hitters. You're putting out like 5 X books next week. You're putting out Inferno's out there, Daredevil's out there is coming out.
Daredevil, Moon Knight
is coming out.
So yeah, Showmonger, to answer your question, I would put Jed MacKay top 10 writer at Marvel right now.
Right.
I would probably put him top 5, honestly.
I don't know yet.
Currently, between Moon Knight and Death of Doctor Strange,
I want to see how his arcs play out because a lot of times you could get the Nick Spencer treatment because you get like a great start to the arc and then you get like a flat tire. So
yeah, that's
something. I don't think Jed MacKay is like that. I love Jed MacKay. It's just I'm very cautious about that as well, especially because we do this.
I would definitely say he's top 10 though. Number 1, of course, being Chip Zdarsky all day, in my opinion.
Right. But like I said, you guys, don't fall into FOMO. You have a huge week next week. See what you can cut back, right? And this is not the week to try a 65-issue flat tire. Oh boy, it was a little longer, but in hindsight, I think like probably like 80 issues all together, 85 issues, especially like all the tie-ins and all that shit. But again, you guys, if you feel like you're missing out on something, don't. You can always pick it up, or you can always come here because we're going to be covering it for you.
Exactly. I know I'm probably where I'm in class right now. I barely got through these 5 books, and so I know like next week I'm probably gonna have to cut some stuff back a little bit. And I already only have like 10 books. So
and I know a lot of indie readers are out there, but if you're already pulling, let's say issue 7, issue 12, and you I wouldn't say now is the time to try out or to gamble with any issues. If you're gambling with a book next week, especially due to the to how big the week is, I would say if you're gambling on issue, don't pick it up. Get it the next week when you have a lighter pull week, and you can always go back and revisit it. So let's wrap up the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to hit the like button. We got Whiplash Wednesday coming up. So Link and I will be talking about how to make side characters relevant, premiering at 4:15. We took a break from Archives last week, but 3 Jokers will be dropping this Friday, followed by Eternals getting in gear for the movie. And then we have Young Justice after that, and Heroes Reborn, Hawkeye. That's all been planned out behind the scenes. Creators Corner, I'm telling you guys, I can't talk about anything yet, other than a few things set in motion. Leah Williams will be here in a week and a half.
You sound like a Marvel. You sound like a Marvel Studios executive when you say that.
But I don't want to talk about anything else in case plans fall short. But if they're all going to work out, I'm very confident in it, and I'm super excited. It is going to be the biggest end of the year that we've had. So thank you guys so much for everything. As always, we really appreciate it, you guys. If you're catching the replay, thank you so much. Thumbs up, comment what book you've read this week, and we'll respond. And we'll be back here every week, 8:15, for you guys. Every Monday, 8 o'clock.
Every Monday, 8 p.m.
8 o'clock.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
All right, and if you go to the description at my YouTube channel, all the time shows is there. So Whiplash Wednesday, 4:15, right? Friday we drop at 1 o'clock. So thank you guys so much for everything. We will see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for 25 great episodes, and here's to many more. Talk to y'all later. Station.